This message found you because your energy field has begun to operate at a frequency that is no longer compatible with modern society. That growing urge you feel to withdraw, to go silent, to disappear from the noise, that isn't a psychological quirk. It's a symptom of what quantum reality demonstrates as vibrational dissonance. You've been feeling it, haven't you? The exhaustion after simple conversations, the psychic static in crowded places, the profound and often isolating sense that you no longer fit in the world you grew up in. What you are experiencing isn't a breakdown. It's a profound energetic upgrade. Your consciousness is recalibrating to a new reality, and the old consensus field literally cannot process your new signature. The information in this video is the explanation you've been searching for. It will reveal why this disappearance is not only a quantum necessity, but is the most powerful and sacred step in your evolution. There is a silent, profound exodus happening right now, a phenomenon that isn't being tracked on the news or discussed on social media, yet many can feel it in their very bones. The most aware, energetically sensitive, and frequency-aware people are quietly, almost imperceptibly, withdrawing from the world. They aren't leaving with anger or protest. They are not staging a dramatic walkout. They are simply disappearing. They are deactivating social media accounts, leaving behind high-profile careers that now feel hollow, ending relationships that no longer resonate, and choosing the profound clarity of solitude over the chaotic noise of modern society. What if this is not a social trend, but a predictable outcome of a massive energetic event? This is the direct result of a planetary quantum shift, a fundamental change in the base frequency of our reality. The science of quantum mechanics hints at what mystics have known for eons. When an individual's internal frequency elevates to a point where it is no longer compatible with the dense, low-frequency field of the collective, participation in that collective becomes physically painful. It is not a metaphor. It is a state of being that creates actual somatic, emotional, and energetic agony. This disappearance isn't just an inevitable side effect for those undergoing a quantum shift. It's an essential phase of their evolution. The more a person's frequency rises, the less they can tolerate the vibrational static of mainstream society. This isn't about spiritual bypassing or escapism. It is a survival mechanism for consciousness, a necessary act of self-preservation when one is surrounded by a reality field operating on an outdated and dissonant frequency. If you have been feeling that deep, soul-level pull to withdraw, to unplug, to vanish from the grid and leave it all behind, it is not because you are antisocial, broken, or failing at life. It is because you are becoming too vibrationally coherent for the collective container. You are upgrading your operating system while the rest of the world is still running on archaic software, and the incompatibility is creating a system crash within your very being. Here is the fundamental truth that explains everything you may be feeling. Modern society operates within a consensus reality field. This field is a collective energetic construct, built upon shared agreements, mass thought forms, and collective emotional patterns that are predominantly rooted in frequencies of fear, scarcity, and separation. These are not flaws in the system. They are the system. This collective field maintains its stability and coherence only if the vast majority of people participate in it unconsciously, continually feeding it with their energy and attention through their thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. The moment someone experiences a quantum shift, a genuine, irreversible elevation of their base frequency and consciousness, they cease to be a compatible component of that system. They become a glitch in the matrix, a point of high-frequency light in a low-frequency grid. From this new vantage point, they can suddenly perceive the energetic architecture of the consensus reality. And once you see the code, the underlying programs running society, you can never go back to being just a character in the game. This isn't just a philosophical concept for you. It is your energetic reality. As your frequency shifts, your perception of reality fundamentally changes. You begin to operate from a different dimension of awareness, even while physically inhabiting the same world. You might feel like a traveler from the future living in the present, able to see the limitations and eventual collapse of the old paradigm. The immense effort required for you to constantly translate your high-frequency awareness into the low-frequency language of the collective becomes profoundly exhausting. You feel like a diplomat from a peaceful, advanced civilization trying to negotiate with a world still lost in conflict and chaos. So, the people who have undergone a quantum shift begin to disappear. They are not rejecting society. They are honoring the new reality that has been born within them. To stay and participate in the old world would require a constant, soul-crushing betrayal of their new frequency. Every day in the old paradigm demands they pretend to be operating on a frequency they have long since transcended. Every meaningless interaction requires them to dim their own light to make others comfortable. Every relationship built on the old energetic contracts asks them to be a lesser version of who they have now become. Eventually, the soul says, "Enough." It commands a withdrawal, not as a punishment, but as an act of profound self-love. It is a call to preserve the new, high-frequency consciousness that has been so tirelessly cultivated. It is an urgent message to stop allowing the static of the consensus reality field to drain the precious life force that is meant to be anchored on this planet. If you recognize this truth, activate its quantum signature within your own field by liking this video. Think of the like button not as a simple click, but as a tool for energetic agreement. Your action stamps this frequency of understanding onto the transmission, amplifying its power and anchoring this awareness more deeply within your own reality. Before we go deeper, if the hype button is visible to you right now, click it. Each click is more than just an interaction. It's a pulse of energy you are sending into the collective field. It helps this transmission of reality reach millions of others who feel this disconnect but don't understand why, enhancing your own quantum signature as you help expand the network of light. Before you can fully understand why this withdrawal is necessary, you need to know what the environment is like that is being left behind. Think of the consensus reality field as a radio show that goes out all over the world. The station that has been playing on this broadcast for thousands of years has been one of survival, competition, fear, and limitation. It's a strong signal that almost everyone has been tuned into since birth. The music, the news, and the talk shows all send the same message. You are not important. The world is dangerous, and you need to work hard to get by. It's not that this broadcast is bad. It was a necessary frequency for a certain stage of human evolution. But now is not the time. With the quantum shift, there is a completely different station being sent at a much higher frequency, like a new, stronger broadcast tower being turned on. The music on this new station is about making things, connecting with others, having plenty, and having unlimited potential. The energetically sensitive and the early adopters are the first few to pick up on this new signal. For you, it may have begun as a soft whisper in the old station's background noise. You had an unfathomable hope and a deep knowing that there was more to life than the sad story that was being told on the news. Through inner work, healing, and seeking the truth, you began to tune your consciousness to this new frequency. The new station became clearer and louder inside you. You are now fully tuned in. The problem is that you still live in a world where most people play the old station loud and clear. The dissonance is so loud it hurts. For your sensitive system, the old broadcast now sounds like annoying, jumbled static. Small talk, which used to be a pleasant social ritual, now seems like a lot of meaningless noise and a script that doesn't have any presence. The daily news cycle doesn't feel like it's giving us information anymore. It feels like a psychic attack, sending us fear on purpose to keep our collective frequency low. With its never-ending stream of edited perfection and fake outrage, social media is like a hurricane of low-frequency emotional energy. While not aware of it, billions of people agree to the consensus reality field's energetic rules. These are not written laws, but programs that are deeply ingrained. The rule that your worth is based on how much you accomplish and how productive you are. The rule that you have to compete with other people to get a piece of a pie that is limited. The rule that your weakness is a dangerous weakness that you need to hide. The rule that says you have to follow social norms to be safe and accepted. These aren't just thoughts. You can now see them with stunning clarity as strong, energetic structures and thought forms that have their own lives. You are not only changing your mind when you go through a quantum shift, you are also changing your basic energetic signature. You have ceased to subscribe to the old reality's agreements. You are no longer willing to live with its limits. This is why you feel like a stranger in a culture where everyone you know is there. In a real sense, you are an alien from a higher dimensional reality, trying to find your way in a world that still follows old rules about energy. This is the main reason why interacting with other people is so tiring. When you are with someone who is deeply connected to the consensus reality field, you are using a totally different set of programs. They look at reality through the lens of fear and limits, while you see it through the lens of love and possibilities. To talk to someone, you have to constantly lower your energy and squeeze your huge, multidimensional awareness into a small, manageable space that they can understand. In terms of energy, it's like a quantum computer trying to use a pocket calculator to run its programs. It's inefficient, annoying, and will hurt your more advanced system in the long run. They can't see the patterns that you can. You can feel the energetic ties of codependency between them. When they get angry, you can see the unresolved trauma from their childhood. You can see the limiting beliefs that are carefully making their pain happen. However, you can't point these things out because, from their point of view, you are the one talking nonsense inside their reality tunnel. Out of touch with reality refers to you. They are kind of right. You have touched a deeper, more real reality than theirs, so you are not in touch with theirs. In this state, people start to pull away. They start to clean up their space with the care of a scientist working in a clean room. They're not trying to be picky or better than others. They are just keeping a new, fragile state of being safe. A high frequency is like a seedling that is easily broken. For it to get strong, it needs the right things. If it is always being stepped on by the old paradigm's heavy boots, it can't grow. The act of disappearing is like building a greenhouse for the soul. This new consciousness can grow and stabilize in this space until it is strong enough to change the world by radiating a new reality instead of fighting the old one. If this hits home for you, write "withdrawn" in the comments below to show that you made a conscious decision. This one word should be your declaration of energy freedom. You are telling the universe that you no longer agree with the limiting programs of the consensus reality field and are ready for the new, high-frequency broadcast of your soul. The experience of vibrational dissonance is one of the most intense and poorly understood facets of this quantum shift. This takes place when a newly balanced energy field interacts with the chaotic, disjointed energy of the group. Most people have a mix of light and shadow or positive and negative energies that they are not aware of before a shift. But on the path to awakening, one faces their own inner dissonance, which is a brave thing to do. They deal with their fears, heal from traumas, and bring together the parts of themselves that are at odds with each other. To put it simply, they tune and clean their own instrument. Then you go out into the world. You might feel like a violin that is perfectly tuned in, an orchestra, where every other instrument is out of tune and playing a crazy, jarring tune. Not only is dissonance an idea, it's also something you feel physically and emotionally in your nervous system. It can feel like a low level of anxiety in calm places, or a full-on psychic attack in busy, chaotic ones. The old term for this is integrating the shadow. From a quantum point of view, it means recognizing and integrating the parts of your consciousness that are lower in frequency. When you stop projecting your worries and fears onto other people and take responsibility for your whole energy field, your frequency goes up and makes sense. On the other hand, the consensus reality field is mostly powered by unconscious projection. The shadow of the collective, which is made up of all the fear, anger, greed, and shame that people refuse to see, is not integrated. Instead, it is placed on scapegoats all the time. Every day, you can see it happen in real life. The other political party is the cause of all bad things. That country is not friendly. The trouble is that group of people. Society has turned into a huge hall of mirrors, where everyone is screaming at the image of their own darkness that they don't own. When you've taken responsibility for your own darkness, seeing this mass projection hurts like hell. At times, it seems like the whole world is going crazy, and you might be the only one in your group who can see it for what it is. You are no longer able to join the general outrage. With politics, you can't pick a side because both sides are driven by the same shadow energy. Anyone can blame anyone else, but you can't play that game because you know it's a useless and harmful unconscious loop that doesn't solve anything. This is not a place of moral superiority or apathy for you. This is a place where energy is very clear. You can see that most of the world's problems are just fractals of the trauma that people still haven't dealt with. And being able to see comes with a heavy price. Not being able to take part. If you have a strong sense of knowing something, tell other people about it in the comments by writing clarity. This word isn't just a comment. It's a vibrational anchor that helps you see through the illusion. It tells you that you will no longer be involved with the chaotic static of the collective shadow, and that you will choose perception over projection and wisdom over anger. You can feel it now, not just see it. Your energetic sensitivity goes through the roof as your consciousness grows clearer. Shadow energy that is strong and projected into the room is no longer just unpleasant for you. It feels like psychic violence. A crowded shopping mall can feel like a psychic war zone because it's full of the chaotic energy of people who are scared, angry, or just plain confused. This energy can affect your field. Family gatherings used to be a way to feel better, but now they can be a way to block out the unresolved ancestral patterns and projected emotions that are going on around the room. This is the reason why a lot of people who have a quantum shift are the first ones to stop using social media. Social media is a way for the collective shadow to reach more people around the world. It's a machine that works around the clock to create, collect, and send low-frequency emotional energy around. For someone whose energy field has become clear and sensitive, being in this environment is like putting your face in toxic waste on purpose. Energy is being polluted, and the system is being deeply hurt. The withdrawal is caused by a strong urge to protect one's energy. It means realizing that your energy is the most valuable thing you have and the currency of creation. It is a terrible waste of time to try to block out the unconscious projections of the group. The act of disappearing is an act of energetic sovereignty. It means that one's field will no longer be used as a place for the collective shadow to land. It is a choice to keep things clear so that energy can be put toward a new reality instead of fighting the old one. If you want to keep getting transmissions that match this higher level of understanding, you should subscribe to this channel. To subscribe is to do something on purpose. It lets the universe know that you are ready to consciously tune your awareness to this stream of information. This helps you disconnect from the old noise and keep your connection stable to the new reality broadcast. The second main part of the consensus reality field is the idea that everyone relies on their persona, or what you can now understand from a quantum point of view as the limitation-based identity. We are all taught to put on this energetic mask, this carefully constructed personality, so we can stay alive and fit in with everyone else. It's not our real selves. It's a collection of programs, beliefs, and behaviors we've picked up to get along with the low-frequency collective. It's likely that you didn't even know you were wearing a mask before your quantum shift. You completely understood what it meant. You thought that your job title, your family role, and your social identity made you who you were. Without realizing it, you played the part that everyone else thought you should, saying the right things and hiding your feelings. It's a complicated dance of social conformity. But after a quantum shift, you connect with your true quantum signature, which is your core frequency and the real, eternal you that is not limited by masks or roles. It's the most freeing thing you can imagine, but it has a terrible effect. Once you've felt the freedom of being real, you can't stand being locked up in a persona anymore. You feel like you're dying mentally and spiritually every time you act like your old self. However, persona performance is all that is expected by most people. At work, you need to put on a professional mask, which is usually one of confidence and conformity. When we get together with family, we have to fall back into our set and often out-of-date roles. At social events, you need to show that you are friendly, agreeable, and not a threat. People who are aware are constantly being told to be less real, smaller, and simpler than they already know they are. This is no longer possible for you. This is not a problem of thought. It is a problem of energy. A high, steady frequency is vibrating through your true quantum signature. There is a lot of dense, low-frequency energy in the limitation-based identity. It hurts your body to try to squeeze your expanded consciousness back into that tight, energetic shell. It causes friction inside that can show up as anxiety, depression, and a deep feeling of suffocation at the soul level. This is why, after a quantum shift, people slowly take apart the life they built around their old self. They quit jobs that require them to lie about their true beliefs. People end relationships that were based on two fake selves interacting instead of two real souls joining together. They stop hanging out with people whose conversations are limited to the basic scripts of the reality that most people agree on. They're not failing at being good people. They are doing a good job of being real. And that success is what makes it impossible to be a part of a fake society. You might have become too real for places that want you to be fake. You are now too whole to fit into containers that can only hold a broken version of you. People around you are used to lying, but now you are too honest for them. Think of a powerful business leader who has a deep quantum shift. He is in a board meeting when all of a sudden, he sees more than just his coworkers. He sees their energetic masks. He can tell that their decisions are based on fear and that their confidence is hiding fear. He can hear what they're saying, but he can also feel the real truth that they're hiding. His mind is focused on the sales and profit forecasts, but deep down, he feels like there is no point in his work, and he is cut off from what really matters. He's no longer able to play the game. No longer does the mask of the ruthless executive fit. The outfit looks gross, like something he would wear in a play he's no longer in. He doesn't make a big deal out of quitting. He starts to plan his exit in a simple, quiet way. Not because he failed, but because he finally found himself and was happy with that. This story is happening in a lot of lives. People aren't going through midlife crises. They're having breakthroughs in who they are. They are taking off their energetic masks. Their leaving society is not a sign of rejection. It's a way for them to feel free. It's the soul giving up the illusion to become itself, which is the bravest choice anyone can make. If you've made this choice or feel called to make it, say so in the comments with the word authentic. This should be your will. By writing it, you honor the death of the old version of yourself and celebrate the birth of the real, whole you. This is your promise that your reality will now be based on the solid truth of who you are. There may be a voice in your head telling you that this is enough and that you should just scroll past. You know that voice. It has the same energetic signature as the persona we just talked about. This is the part of you that wants to stay in the old reality and play small and safe. But the most important information is still coming. What's about to happen explains why you've been so tired and why your solitude is not a way to escape, but a holy necessity. Do not give up. Today, we shut that voice up by fully understanding how it plays. People who still live in the consensus reality will never understand how much daily energetic work it takes to keep a high frequency in a low-frequency environment. When someone goes through a quantum shift, they are no longer just a person. They are a clear, high-frequency light beacon. But the world around them is a storm of low-frequency static that they can't understand. In this environment, just existing without being pushed back down is a huge, full-time job. Do you ever think about the work you do every day that you don't even know about? You have to be aware of how to keep your energy field from being drained when you're around someone who is stuck in a low-frequency emotional state. Like a family member who is afraid or a coworker who is always complaining. Dealing with these things is sometimes called energy vampires, but it's really just physics at work. A natural law of energetic thermodynamics says that a low-frequency system will always try to get energy from a high-frequency system in order to stay stable. Unless you know how to keep your energetic boundaries strong, every interaction with someone who is negative, scared, or dramatic drains your life force. To get your power back, write sovereign in the comments to show that you are energetically independent. Making this strong claim that your energy is yours is a big deal. It's a boundary you set for yourself and the universe that says you won't let your life force be drained anymore, and that you are in charge of your own inner state. In every conversation, you have to keep the unconscious projections that are being thrown at you out of the way. When a coworker blames you for something that is really their own insecurity, you need to be aware that it is a projection and not take it as true. The process of putting the complex, multidimensional ideas you now understand into easy-to-understand language that others can understand is both frustrating and draining on your energy. The most important thing is to keep your own frequency. This is the hardest work you've ever done. Imagine trying to hold a single, beautiful, clear note while everyone else in the orchestra plays a jumbled, out-of-tune racket. Against the overwhelming pressure of the dissonance around you, You have to put all of your will and energy into staying coherent. This doesn't work at all for people who are still asleep in the consensus field. They're not swimming against the flow. They're the flow. They are going with the flow of fear, anger, and drama without realizing it. But for someone who is aware, being in that place is always like swimming against the flow of unconsciousness. At some point, everyone knows they need to get out of the water or drown. The effects of this quantum labor are very real and can be felt and seen. A lot of awakened people have problems like chronic fatigue, anxiety, brain fog, and illnesses that doctors can't figure out. They are not stuck in a personal problem. They are just tired of putting out energy. The constant work of keeping a high frequency in a low-frequency world is too much for their systems to handle. You may have personally experienced this. As time went on after your deep quantum shift, you became more and more sick because you worked in a toxic environment. Your body hurt, you were always tired, and you felt like you were going to die. There was no harm found in medical tests. It wasn't until you understood how the energy was moving that you realized your job was actually making you sick. The frequency, not the work itself, was the problem. It was constantly dealing with fear, office politics, and co-workers who didn't act like themselves. The daily work you had to do to protect yourself and hold your own light in that dark place was using up your vital energy faster than you could replace it. It wasn't a new supplement or another doctor that helped. The cure was to stop using it. As soon as that person quit their job, they felt better and had more energy. They were not sick. They were just not able to handle the energy in their environment. Because of this, people who have had a quantum shift are disappearing into nature, into quiet solitude, or into small groups of people who are like them. They are not running away from responsibility. They are acting on a deep, primal need to protect the consciousness they have worked so hard to become. They know that their high-frequency awareness is a valuable and strong asset. The worst thing they can do for themselves and the world is to waste it on pointless, draining interactions in the old paradigm. They want to save their strength for the real work, which is to build and anchor the new earth. The withdrawal that someone feels they have to do is not the end. You can think of it as entering the quantum cocoon. It is a sacred and necessary stage of change. Just like a caterpillar has to completely dissolve in the chrysalis by itself before it can re-emerge as a butterfly, a person's consciousness going through a quantum shift has to go through a period of deep withdrawal in order to process the huge changes that are happening. This is not a way to avoid social situations. It is a very active and important part of recalibrating your energy. The cocoon doesn't hide from the outside world. They are fiercely guarding a process of complete change. Cells, DNA, and neural pathways are all being rewritten and upgraded so that they can hold a much higher frequency of light and information. The steps in this process are very delicate. If you tried to do it while being in the chaotic static of the consensus reality field, it would be like trying to do open-heart surgery during a rock concert. It's not possible. The old frequency would mess up the process, damage the new coding, and could even lead to a catastrophic failure of the system. The quantum cocoon is a state of energetic quarantine that you put on yourself. You might need to be still in order to hear the new instructions from your higher self and the universe. You need to be away from other people's thoughts, expectations, and projections in order to find out what makes you truly unique. You need to be alone to fully dissolve your old limitation-based identity because you won't be able to hold on to it for social approval. This phase is based on an old, universal pattern that the soul knows very well. All traditions of wisdom say that the initiate must go into the desert, the cave, or the wild to face themselves and receive divine wisdom. This is the same thing today. Withdrawal is a holy journey into the wilderness of one's own being. The real work is done inside this cocoon. It's not just rest, it's also engaging. Low-frequency, dense energies that were taken in from the collective are pushed out. During this holy time, please honor your journey by writing "I integrate" in the comments. This affirmation changes the feeling of being alone into a recognition of work that is holy and has a purpose. It's realizing that your time alone isn't empty, but full of the deep work of becoming the new, higher frequency version of yourself. At a new level of peace and compassion, the emotional body becomes stable. It gets rid of the old paradigm's limiting programs in the mind. People learn how to live in a state of direct, unfiltered connection to source energy, without the outside world always getting in the way. From the outside, this time seems like a breakdown for many. Family and friends are worried. When someone stops caring about things, they think that person is depressed or lost. They don't understand that what they're seeing is not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. The person is not breaking down. Instead, they are merging with something more powerful. A philosopher I used to know stopped doing any of the things that made him successful in academia. It stopped him from writing papers, going to conferences, and answering emails. People in the academic world said in whispers that he had a mental breakdown. The truth was that he woke up. He lived in a cottage in the middle of nowhere for 3 years and read, meditated, and went for walks in the woods. He let go of his old intellectual identity while he was alone. What came out was not just a smarter student, but a real wise person. When he finally came back, the work he did was not just intellectual. It changed things. It was so deep and strong that it could only have been made in the holy silence of his quantum cocoon. Respect this phase if you are in it right now. People outside of your process should not make you doubt your own. You're not being lazy, careless, or unfriendly. Making conscious evolution happen is the most important thing a person can do. Keep your privacy very safe. Feel free to say that you need peace and quiet. You're not running away from everything. You are going deeper than the world can handle right now. You are creating the stable, high-frequency consciousness that will be your greatest gift to the world in the future. Going missing is not the end of the story. The quantum cocoon is not a place to live permanently. Withdrawing isn't meant to mean leaving the world forever. It's meant to get you ready to interact with it again in a whole new way. People who go through this process of recalibration don't stay gone. They come back. But they come back changed. They don't come back to take part in the old, unconscious reality without doing anything. They come back to work on anchoring a new one. They end up being frequency anchors. A frequency anchor is someone who has fully embraced and stabilized their new high frequency to the point where their presence changes the world around them. They don't have to teach, preach, or persuade anyone of anything. Their energy field naturally balances out other people's energy fields that aren't coherent. Their presence calms down situations that are getting out of hand. When they speak from a place of deep authenticity, their words can awaken people who are ready. They're not going back to being popular when they come back. It's not possible. You can't go back to being a caterpillar on the ground after becoming a butterfly. Real consciousness is huge, and once you've felt it, you can't shrink back down to fit back into the small boxes of the consensus reality. That's why they go back to the edges. They become the quiet revolutionaries who build the new earth without anyone noticing. These are the artists whose work sends out a high-frequency signal that awakens something deep inside the viewer. They are the healers who help people who are just starting their quantum shift. They are the teachers who get together small groups of seekers and share the knowledge they gained by being alone. These are the smart business people who create new systems based on working together instead of against each other. These people are the organic farmers, the community builders, the holistic healers, and the quiet leaders who are making things better. In parallel, they make structures. People are quietly building lifeboats while the old world of politics and corporate power continues to fall apart in a big, loud way. They are making the new models for business, education, healing, and community that will be ready when people are ready to let go of the old paradigm. It was very hard for a therapist I know for 2 years during her quantum cocoon phase. She quit her busy city job and didn't come back. She didn't open her old office again when she got back. It was too easy for her to go back to the common way of diagnosing mental illness in people. She instead opened a small retreat center in the country where she only worked with people who were having deep spiritual awakenings or emergencies. The rest of the psychiatric world couldn't see what she did, but for the few people she helped, she was a lifeline. She was a frequency anchor, creating a safe, high-vibrational space where other people could change. This is how the new leaders should act. Being on stage or having a million fans are not important. It has to do with how deeply someone is present and how well their frequency fits together. Frequency anchors, which could be people like you, are going away from most of society, but are now showing up again in conscious pockets of light all over the world. From a higher point of view, what seems like giving up on the old world is actually a huge act of service. The pioneers need to go first. They go into the unknown of higher consciousness, make a map of it, and then set up a base camp so that the next group of awakened people will have a safe place to land. If you believe this is your true purpose, write "I anchor" in the comments to let everyone know. This is what you promise. It tells you that your job is not to fight the old world, but to be a living, breathing example of the new one. By writing these words, you agree that you will help keep things stable and help build the new earth. There is a new leader who will follow this path. If this role feels like it belongs to you, subscribe now and stay on your path. When you subscribe, you become a part of this network of frequency anchors that you can't see. You are telling the universe that you are no longer just a bystander. You are taking part in creating the new earth. Let us bring this whole picture of quantum mechanics into clear focus. It's not a mystery why people who have been through a quantum shift are quietly going away. It's a natural and necessary chain of energetic events. They can't take it any longer when the consensus reality field has vibrational dissonance. When someone awakens, their true self can no longer play the part of the limitation-based identity. It becomes impossible to keep up the energy needed to keep a high frequency in a low-frequency environment. They know instinctively that they need to go into the quantum cocoon to reset. Finally, they go back to the edges of the old world, not in the middle of it, to be frequency anchors. This whole process doesn't mean you're weak or failed. It shows that you are evolving consciously and has a lot of courage and wisdom. They are not giving up on the group. Instead, they are offering the best way to help the group. If you can't help but feel like you want to disappear, that sacred call to withdraw, you need to know this. You are not being antisocial. You are honoring an archetypal imperative. You're not running away from the world. You're leading the way to where the world needs to go. It's not a sign of weakness that you can't stand the low-frequency noise. You are conscious, and a conscious being needs different conditions than an asleep being. Tell yourself it's okay to disappear. Not always, but for as long as your soul needs it. Find your quantum cocoon, which could be a physical retreat into nature or a mental escape from people who are draining you. Don't waste your valuable high-frequency energy on things and people that can't handle it. You should stop putting on a show for people who can't see the real you. The reason you're not around is not selfish. It is the holiest thing you can do right now to make something. The world doesn't need someone else to play a small role in its hidden games. Without a doubt, it needs people like you who are fully and honestly whole. It wants to see more of your depth than your surface, your realness than your performance, and your stable frequency than your conformity. And when you come back, if and when the time is right, you'll bring a gift that could only be made during her silence. You will have a presence that you could never have built up while giving off a false sense of belonging. You will say something true that you could not have said while you were still trying to get the asleep to accept you. People who are energetically aware are going away, because that's what this stage of the Great Awakening needs from them. This withdrawal is not caused by hate. It is caused by a strong love that won't give in. A love for truth, consciousness, and being real. A love that is strong enough to say, I need to heal, even if that means I need to be alone for a while. Take a planned break. Disappear on purpose. Don't just use this holy time to be alone. Use it to connect with others as well. Also remember that while you're gone, you're working on something amazing. You're not going away from the world. It will be able to step into the new one you are building. Please like this video if you haven't already, so that the energy of this transmission stays in your body. Share it with everyone who is ready to awaken to their sacred role and grow the field of this new consciousness.